Hello, everyone. I'm Mike Simmons, the founder and president of Astronomers Without Borders. And this is our monthly hangout about what's going on with Astronomers Without Borders around the world. And we're starting a little bit late today, the usual technical difficulties, but we're here now, so I'm glad to have you. We have several guests lined up today. We have Mark Thompson from OPT, Oceanside Photo and Telescope, who is going to talk to us about their event and the contribution that was made from that event to Astronomers Without Borders. We also have Bob Eklund, who is our Astropoetry editor, and he's going to be talking about, well, he's going to actually announce the winners of at least one of the categories of the Astropoetry Contest from Global Astronomy Month this past April. And we also have the Astro Arts chairperson, Danielle De Paulus, joining us from a sunny Sardinia on holiday. One of the lucky ones right now. And so that's what's lined up. We're also going to have some views from the International Space Station, and Liam Kennedy, who is our producer, is going to be showing us what's going on with his project, ISS Above, and a little bit about telescopes to Tanzania as well. So, and a really big hangout that's coming up next week. So let's get to it then. One of the big things in the news this last month was a donation from a regular supporter of Astronomers Without Borders, which is OPT, online at optcorp.com, Oceanside Photo and Telescope. And we have Mark Thompson here, who is one of the people involved at this worldwide telescope retailer. Welcome, Mark. It's good to see you here.
Great to see you this morning, Mike.
And so this was quite an event. This is an annual event that you had, and Astronomers Without Borders was picked this time to be the recipient of the proceeds from the raffle that goes on. Right. Tell us a little bit about SCAE and what goes on there and what happens. And while you do that, I'm going to bring up a few pictures to show the event as well.
Well, this is actually the 10th year that we've had our big SCAE exposition at the Southern California Astronomy Exposition in Oceanside at Oceanside Photo and Telescope at our store. And it's a big event. We have, you know, almost 1,000 people that come every year and take advantage of some of the wonderful raffle prizes we have, in addition to having an opportunity to interact with a lot of the vendors that are so active in amateur astronomy, who are all set up in booths. And it's just a really great community event. We have people from all over San Diego County, Orange County. Some come from Los Angeles as well for the event. And it's just a great hangout. We have a really good time.
And I'm hidden now underneath the a picture here that shows the Raffle Booth. This is, and there's a sign there saying that Astronomers Without Borders is the recipient of the proceeds for this year's event. Well, tell us about how that came about, because of course that's big news for me. And
yeah, it is. Well, as you know, OPT has a long history of community outreach for well over 30 years, ever since OPT began selling telescopes. In 1982, our founder and CEO, Craig Weatherwax, has been an ardent advocate of reaching out to the community and bringing our love of astronomy to the public. And we have an extensive outreach program. In fact, just this past week, we presented 2 evening programs, one for the city of Poway, the other for Camp to Belong in Orange County, where 66 campers, all foster children, had an opportunity to view Saturn. So this year, when it came time to decide which organization would be the recipient of our annual donation, Craig took a survey of the staff, and Astronomers Without Borders was the clear winner. Why? Mm-hmm. Because AWB is the ultimate in world community astronomy outreach.
Well, I appreciate that, Mark, and let me get back to myself here. Well, thank you very much for that, and we appreciate that. Craig has been a good supporter of a lot of causes for quite some time, and we have a picture here that Liam is bringing up of the big check.
Were you able to cash that big check?
Well, I couldn't get it through the slot for the ATM.
Okay, all right.
So we had to wait until the next day. But
okay. Yeah.
It's always fun to do that. And there is, of Craig himself, who is known for his various costumes of,
Yeah, I
of
don't know
all
if he's the
kinds.
prince or the king in that one. I can't really tell from here.
Yeah, yeah. Well, he's one or the other, but it
Yeah,
was good to be there with the king and with you also helping to
thank
hand
you.
over projects. So that's
It was
very much
fun.
appreciated as well. So I showed some of the pictures here that I think Leanne was able to cut in as well, showing what happened on the event. Who are some of the others that have received this before?
Well, in the past, we've had the International Dark Skies, the Friends of Palomar, the New Hampshire Astronomy Club Library Project, and I think our first was Stephen Ramsden's Charlie Bates Solar Astronomy Project.
Mhm.
So
Which does,
you're the fifth.
yeah, it does a tremendous amount of research,
Yeah,
outreach as well.
yeah,
So those are all good causes. So
yeah,
we're
absolutely.
grateful for that. And I want to mention too that Craig is always, and OPT has always been a sponsor of Global Astronomy Month. Next year's Global Astronomy Month will be the sixth one, follow up to a program in the International Year of Astronomy, 100 hours of astronomy. And so you'll be hearing from us for that again as well, and hope OPT will again support them.
I'm sure we will.
Okay. Well, thanks once again, Mark, and
My
thanks
pleasure.
for joining us here to talk a little bit about it. And
Great to be with you too, and good luck with your future projects.
thank you very much, and thank you for the support. And our thanks to Craig and Lee and everybody else at OPT.
I'll pass that along.
Okay.
Okay. Have a great day.
You too. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So now what we'd like to do is go to our Astropoetry editor. Now, here we have something that was one of the things in Astronomers Without Borders that sort of was a surprise for me. It's not something that was on my list of things we had to do, but Bob Eklund, who we have here, is the blog manager there. He handles the Astropoetry blog, and this has turned out to be something that's been very, very popular. And the Astropoetry Contest during Global Astronomy Month has been a big thing as well. So welcome again, Bob.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me? I don't know if I unmuted myself properly here. Or...
We hear you, Bob.
Okay,
Technical
great.
difficulties seem to be past.
All right, thank you.
It stays that way.
Well, yeah, this year's contest has been quite a surprise because you know, in 2012 we had 75 entries worldwide. In 2013 that went up to 90, but this year we had a total of 154. So it just grew rather very quickly this year, and we were very pleased. These poems came in from three categories: the adult, young adult, and children, in about equal amounts. So we are after the adult poems were so good it was really hard to pick out the best. But anyway, we narrowed it down, and we do have we can announce the winners on that. Actually, our first place poem, which I'm going to read, is kind of a little playful poem, and we chose it because it kind of represents the sort of things that Astronomers Without Borders likes to do, getting out there with kids and doing things with astronomy. The author of this, Christine Reuter in Maryland, USA, writes, the title is "Children Form an Orrery and All the Planets Collide." Now, as a preface to that, perhaps you remember that an orrery was very popular back 100 or 200 years ago, actually, a kind of a mechanical model of the solar system where all the planets would revolve around. So we are having a live orrery here, and it goes like this. A frenzied kid skirts the sun and giggles, while somewhere in the midst, giants drag along their cliques. On the outskirts, Pluto and friends grow bored, each minute just a foot shuffle to the right. Once in a blue, a planet tattles on one of its moons to the sun. Many near misses in this tiny room where Jupiter and Saturn occasionally elbow each other, and the asteroids wink at Mars, not so far away after all. So that was Christine Reuter. And
Christine is I'm sorry, Bob, but Christine is not someone new to the Astropoetry blog or to the contest. We've seen
That
her
is
name.
correct. We've had her in past years, and she's a fine poet in Maryland, and just loves to write about astronomy. The second one came in from Portugal. Our second place winner is from Fernanda Barbosa in Portugal, and it's called I Fly and Wonder. And it's all about wondering, and the one who's speaking here is a space telescope. We aren't told exactly what telescope it is, but anyway, we can imagine. And it goes like this: with glass-made eyes, born from Galileo's wondrous mind, I fly and wonder the above skies. Between seeds of life and thunders of death, I glare at a brave hunter carrying lights of fire in his belt. I follow a graceful swan dancing to the sound of lyra crying on its doorstep, and I fly and wonder. Wings wide open in the arms of Milky Way, I ride. I stumble over scattered clouds of dusk and starbursts so bright and olden. How many Earth-like planets do you hide, full of demons and gods, kings and queens? It's like a fairy tale of the future. Kepler's smooth mirror, made of silvery reflected dreams, in its height and venture already found many. Huge hope, ferocious faith. In my dazzling journey far from home, I urge and dare. And I ask again, are we alone? I walk through islands of sparkling flares and hungry holes of absence. I float upon seas of spectrum ashes and scraps of helium hair, all fragments of Big Bang's worn-out presence. And I fly and wonder. Look, I caught a glimpse of Princess Andromeda's curls, so many light years away, yet so close. How would it feel to lie down in your diamond curves? Endless marvel and prodigy, I'm sure. Therefore, I'll keep flying and wondering for an eon more. So, anyway, that's a sample of our adult poems. Now I'd like to read a short poem from the young adult category.
And Bob, tell us, these were the winners of the adult category that you've just read there?
Mm-hmm.
And so was this first and second place?
That was first and second, right. Uh-huh. Yeah, the third place is actually a lady from Canada, Arma Malik, in Ontario, Canada.
Okay.
Writes a delightful poem also about contemplating the universe. And then we have a couple of honorable mentions, three of those two. A Year of My Sky by Shreyas Gokhale, India. And by the way, we had an unusual number of contributions from India this year, especially in the children's area. That's A Year of My Sky, and then a wonderful poet in London who goes by the pen name of XYZ has a poem called Black Hole. That's an honorable mention. And finally, a love poem from a star by Maura Doyle of Los Angeles, California here has another honor. But we had three honorable mentions this time in the in the adult category. They were just too good to pass up. So we'll be putting all of those on the web, and you'll be able to see them on our website as we publish that. In the young adult category, our winning poet there is by an American. This is Elizabeth Gutierrez in Illinois, USA, and she was one of the honorable mentions last year, actually. So she is just a high school student in a town in Illinois, and she writes a poem here called Cosmo Poets. I think this is quite lovely for a high school student, I think. I am the cosmos. The poem is about myself. Its poet is me. The cosmos is you. A poem about you all. You are the poet. Cosmos within us. The poem we seek to write. The poets we are. And that was that.
Lovely.
So, And then I want to write. I want to read one from the children's category too. That came in from India. This one is, I think, it's kind of quick, kind of a cute little one. And we gave this one first place to it. It's got a little bit of a funny twist to it. And it's called "This Poem is About the Moon." It's by Anaya Angarwal in India. This poem is about the moon. It is going to end soon. The moon comes in the night. It does not have its own light. The first man to go there was Neil Armstrong. Well, really, am I wrong? Now you know all about the moon. Well, go and ring the intelligence bell. So, yeah, that was that one. And so we have several good poems in the children's category. And as I say, India was very strong in that area as a contributor. So I think I'm very pleased with what we got. I think we'll have them all there for you to read the whole shebang as we get it posted. But I think the world contributed beautifully. I love to sort of tap into this creative energy that seems to exist all over the world. You know, with this poetry, both in this contest and in our Astropoetry blog, which also I edit. And I'm just always thrilled to see how much there's a creative combination of the sort of the intelligence about astronomy and the enthusiasm and the love about poetry that kind of gets all mingled and it keeps coming in. I just love hearing from these people.
Right, interesting. Well, Bob, now those were great poems, but let's hear who the winners were in the categories too, whose poems you haven't read yet, because they're
okay, sure, yeah, we have those. Yeah, in the okay, I told you the winners in the adult. So in the young adult, which is actually youngsters from grade 7 on up to 12, that's really takes in the middle school and high school ages, and so in that category we have the Cosmo Poets, which I read, Elizabeth Gutierrez in Illinois. And then the second place winner in young adults is from Portugal. It's called O Star, You That Play With the Moon. And that's from Francisco Sousa in Portugal. And by the way, I am quite thrilled with the command of English that some of these folks have coming from all over the world. I think it's great. Okay, third place in the young adult was a poem called Pluto by Rachel Pribble in Oklahoma, USA. And then a couple of honorable mentions. My Universe by a young lady named Griselda in Indonesia. My Universe. And then finally, another honorable mention, The Sun, the Earth, the Moon, and the Stars by Sejal Agarwal of India. So that's the young adult category. Now the children, which is ages, we say basically 1st through 6th grade, and so these came in. Basically, India was the great contributor to our blog this time, and we had in the children we had 75 poems. First place, this poem is about the moon, which I read. This poem is about the moon by Anaya Agarwal in India. The Sun and Planets and the Moon is the second place by Sarah Kothari and Shiv Khanna in India. Third place is We Are a Tiny Bit by Bahavia Tuli in India, and those are the 3 places which have prizes, and then the honorable mentions. We have 2 of those. Mercury is the Closest by Diva Dutta in India, and finally Mysterious Space by Linka Lenika in India. Yes, we have one more. In the universe, another honorable mention. In the universe, composed by two Indian children, Sityajarita and Ishani Suri. And this one is cute. If I have time, let me just read this last one here from Sitaya Jatia and Ishani Suri in I believe they're in New Delhi, India. In the universe, there is no such thing as a curse. So go to the awesome place, which is called as space. We would love to go to space and see new sights and travel in the ISS rigged with lights. Here comes 12th April, known as Yuri's night. Oh, what a man he was, with strength and pride. There are so many things in space to see. We would like to go to space with all of you, but be back for a tea. So,
terrific.
I think it's just terrific what kind of sparkling intelligence we find all over the world coming from the youth. It sort of gives you a little bit of hope for humanity, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So,
absolutely. Well, that's terrific, Bob. And I'd like to say that I'm not so surprised that the number of countries participating and the number of submissions has gone way up. It's always been very popular, and I think you're going to find that judging is going to get harder and harder as more gets out about Global Astronomy Month and the Astropoetry Contest.
It may be hard, but I love it.
Yes, well, there you go. And now the Astropoetry blog itself, tell us what usually goes on there.
Well, that's really a labor of love for me. I love the blog, and I would like to widen our circle of contributors very much on that, because we just love to have your contribution for the blog. We've got some wonderful ones coming in. I think the one that you've seen most is Andrei Dorian Georgi, in Romania. Andrei is really the grandfather of world astropoetry. He really started the whole thing. Romania has been a wonderful beginning for this whole movement of poetry about the stars. And so Andrei and his friends just continue to give us a great deal. But we have many other contributors here, America and many other countries. What you want, if you have a picture that you have taken, just try to write a little poem to go with it and send the two of them. We like to post photographs, images, imagery of all sorts with our poems when we can, because we find people like to see something visually as well as read the poem. It's not necessary, but it's a nice extra. So that would be good. Also, if you have a poem and you think it could use some visual addition, you can look for things in whatever is public domain, such as NASA photos, that might augment it, and you could send us a link to that, and we could publish it along with that image. And again, images are only a nice supplement, but the poetry is the key thing. So, please do join us on the blog as much as you can and send things in.
Okay, well, and I want to mention also, which I didn't fail to up front, the Q&A app is enabled on the Google Plus Hangout page. So those who have comments or questions here, please enter them into the Q&A app. If you're watching this live, many of these get more viewers after the fact in the archives, and of course we can't answer anything then, but you can comment on the YouTube channel there. But if you're watching live, winners and honorable mentions, if you happen to have been mentioned there, pop a comment in there. That would be fine. Mm-hmm. So, okay, Bob. Well,
Mike, before I leave, just let me do. Would like to just mention the link to the Astropoetry blog, not the link, but the email address, so that you know how to submit your poem. It's just astropoetry@astronomerswithoutborders.org.
Okay, Astropoetry, all one word.
All one word, and then
and then astronomerswithoutborders.org.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks very much, Bob. And I know because I've seen messages, people writing in saying, when are you going to announce the winners? And I know you were little surprised by the number of submissions this year. So I think you better gear up and get things streamlined and ready for next year, because it's going to be even bigger. So I know there is a lot of interest in hearing what happened there. So thanks very much for bringing us those, and I hope there are some very happy winners out there, and congratulations to them and everybody else who submitted.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Bob. Well, now I would like to bring in someone who we can all be envious of, Danielle De Paulus, the founder and chairperson of the Astro Arts program in Astronomers Without Borders. Danielle is joining us from an obviously very sunny Sardinia, off the coast of Italy, her home country. And you're on vacation with family in Sardinia, I guess, now, right?
Yes, that's right. We come here every year, so it's quite it's an area I know very well, and I hope you can hear me, because I'm using a mobile connection and it's very unstable. So I hope I'll be able to go through this Hangout without problems.
Well, we hear you fine, but being Italian, you can always speak with your hands as well, and we'll know. So, very good. Well, Astro Arts now. So we don't have a particular Astro Artist of the Month to feature who is able to join us this month, but we were going to do a little follow-up here and show some of the things that have been going on. This is another thing. You know, I come from astronomy, from the outreach, informal education, and science side, and definitely not the Astro Art side, even though I have enjoyed some of the things I've seen. And this blending of the two is such a natural thing. I grew up with Chesley Bonstall and some of the other greats, and I'm seeing that it's really far more active than I thought. So this has been a great success, Danielle, and I want to thank you and congratulate you for that as well.
Thanks.
So
this time, sorry, Mike. Rather than doing a sort of resume of what we've been doing, I like to especially focus on what we are interested in, which is the collaboration between artists and scientists, which you correctly said it's something that's been going on for many decades, actually. And what we do is we highlight people we think do interesting things with astronomy. So it's something which we do, I think it's quite unique in the world of art-science collaboration. We focus especially on astronomy and space and art. So I think it'd be nice to just go through some of the works we've seen over the last few months, which highlight this collaboration in a very special way, like this particular work here, which was provided by the Institute for Interstellar Studies, which is based in London. We had a very good collaboration with the Institute, which we are hoping to strengthen in the future. And they provided some of the works that they think are very important in the history of science fiction. So science fiction is for them the core of artists and scientists collaboration. In science fiction, often the writer has a very thorough knowledge of science, and the illustration of science fiction is also important to highlight the both visionary and scientific aspects of the work. And if we go to the next picture, Liam, I think we have another good example of what we've seen over the last few months. This is a project by Team Otto Roth, who is a German artist. And the reason why I thought it would be nice to highlight it again is because we present works which are both illustrations, paintings, abstract or realistic, but also very experimental art. So in this case, Tim is an experimental artist, and he used the space in Rome called the Accademia of Lincei, which is a historically well-known place for art-science collaboration. And he installed this piece, which is composed of 12 strings which rotate, and on the strings there are some speakers attached which produce sine waves, and by rotating the sound creates the Doppler effect. So Tim tried somehow to recreate the sound of what he thinks we will hear if we were under the sky looking at different stars, and we will hear their sounds as if the farther they were, the more strong we would hear the Doppler effect. Mm-hmm. And I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we do hear you.
I'm very sorry about the noise, but there's someone cutting the grass at the moment.
Oh, okay. Well, we're not really hearing that.
Very sorry about that.
We're not really hearing that, Daniela. So, so this one, now this piece was featured also. This was one of our Astro Artists of the Month a short time ago as well, right?
Yes, that's right. Team Otto is working on a regular basis with scientists from the Hubble Space Telescope. I think he has a very special collaboration with them and creates several artworks which are inspired by this particular project. If we go to the next image.
Let me just mention too, while Liam brings that up, that collaboration is interesting. First of all, that scientists are very interested in doing this artwork, in cooperating with the artists. It seems very natural for them, and then also that some scientists are themselves astro artists. So this people seem to think that the creativity of the left brain and right brain in science and art don't go together, but that's very often not the case from both sides.
Yes, it's very complementary skills, because often scientists are not especially trained to communicate visually or with other media what they conceive scientifically. So often the artist is also helpful in this case in order to present, for example, through an illustration or a painting, what the scientists kind of knows through numbers and scientific concepts, but who cannot often visualize. Mm-hmm. And this work is by another artist who is very, well, quite internationally known. His name is Nahum Mantra. He's a Mexican artist, and he's been working with scientists for several years, and is especially interested in sound. And this particular work was featured in one of our AstroArts blog posts. And this project is called, if I'm correct, Dangerous Space. And what Nahum is interested in doing in this particular work is to sonify the movement of meteorites and asteroids. So when asteroids cross the sky, these speakers emit some sounds, and the viewers of the exhibition can then also imagine these dangerous objects crossing the universe. Mm-hmm. And what I think is also interesting about Nahum is that he very actively engages with scientists. So he often participates in conferences and the highly scientific events. And this is a way also to directly talk to them and share skills and knowledge in a very, I think, in a way which, of course, AWB, I think, loves doing. It's something which really bonds people and different communities, in this case from the arts and the sciences.
Which is, as you point out, that's another border that we try to cross as well, which is why I think this is such a great thing. We have geographic borders, but borders of other kinds that when we look across them, we find a lot of similarities, a lot of things in common, and that collaboration is terrific.
Definitely. Often I notice that through my own experience as well, I notice that scientists don't have time to engage in anything cultural, artistic themselves, but often they are really interested in art and literature, for example, and their job sometimes really restrict them from engaging with these fields. So indeed, as you said, these are cultural borders that we try to also push a bit further. If we move to the next picture, we have another example of a project that was featured. This is our most recent astro artist. His name is David Hardy. He's a British artist who is also the vice president of the International Association of Astronomical Artists, which is a very well-known international group of artists who especially work with astronomers for visualizing scientific concepts. Often in scientific journals, one sees, for example, the illustration of a new planet or how this planet could potentially be. And these artists are great at especially this kind of collaboration. And this picture was taken in one of the workshops organized by the IAAA group. In this particular case, the workshop was in Arizona. The artists meet regularly in this workshop and draw from real life, painting rocks and any feature that Earth potentially shares with other planets. And in the next picture we see one example of David Hardy's work. And I think this this particular painting is called Neighbors, and shows the Earth, Mars, and the Moon in a symbolic way. So although the size is represented in scale, the painting is not just an illustration of a scientific concept, but also brings in some symbolic meaning. And this is also what often happens with the IAAA artists. Some of them turns towards abstract art and symbolic or more spiritual art in a way.
And David's art is featured this month on Astronomers Without Borders website in AstroArts. And he has a number of things too which are quite different than this. They are somewhat realistic, but I say somewhat because some of the things we don't really know for sure, but it reminds me of some of the things I've seen many years ago in the art that was meant to portray other worlds as we expected to find them, which it's not the way we always found them, but they're very enjoyable to see, and some of them are just fabulous.
Yes, in a way all art is symbolic, so it kind of doesn't quite make sense to say a painting, an astronomical painting, is symbolic or realistic, as really we really don't know until we experience a particular landscape what it will look like. So I think there is also some, well, the meaning of symbolic in this case can be questioned.
Yes. Do you have others for us, Danielle?
No, I think this was all for this brief participation of mine. And well, I was interested in opening up this concept of artist-scientist collaboration. So we are always open to suggestions, and if any artist out there would love to be featured in our blog, please get in touch.
So one thing I find interesting is, having learned about the IAAA, this really is an amazing organization that connects artists of all kinds, International Association of Astronomical Artists, but there are many scientists involved as well directly, and it is, I don't think it was developed with the idea in mind of linking the two, but there certainly is an important component of that, and maybe it's because it's attracted space scientists to its activities as well.
Yes, as far as I know, there are a few astronauts who are part of the AAA organization. So astronauts and the artists who are part of the organizations are themselves very knowledgeable of scientific concepts. So they can communicate very well with scientists. They share the same language in a way, which is not often the case with artists. Sometimes there is a language barrier, both from the scientists and from the artists. Also, artists have their own jargon and use their own spatial language. So I think it's something which often we connect to Leonardo da Vinci. You know, the ability to speak different languages and to always somehow use both the right and left side of the brain in a creative way.
Yeah, and one of the astronauts who's a well-known artist is Alan Bean, who actually walked on the moon and has used that experience of traveling to the moon and being there as part of his art, as well as some other things. And one astronomer whose work I studied when I was studying astronomy in college a very long time ago, who is also a well-known artist, is William Kaufman, and so there are quite a few who come from both sides.
Yes, well, for me, that is the best way to be creative. Also, scientists need a lot of intuition in their work, in their research, so they need to be visionary just as much as artists.
Yes, and so what's coming up? Is there anything you can tell us about what's coming up on the Astro Arts program on the blog there, other artists or any events?
Well, we are looking forward to feature an artist who is working also with astronomers and is collecting stories from people all around the world, stories of the dark skies. I'm here in Sardinia, and I think it's the only place I visited so far where I can see a sort of dark sky, not fully dark sky, but it's always a very special experience compared to what we witness in a city. So this artist is collecting stories, and hopefully we will present her work during the autumn. And soon we should start working on Global Astronomy Month 2015. There are many possible directions we could take, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yes, and because Astronomers Without Borders is doing a little bit better financially, we'll be able to start planning that much sooner this year. I think we're going to be more organized. Those who, I have to say all the time, because doing things like this is not easy, but anybody who is interested in supporting what we do and making it possible for us to do a better job with these things, please donate to us, and we will have more about that before too long as well. So, okay, well, Danielle, I look forward to...
And if I...
Sure.
Can I just mention one last thing? One dream of mine is to create a sort of virtual artist residency in collaboration with Astronomers Without Borders. There are many amateur astronomers and astronomers who are part of our organization, and I would really love to see collaborations in the near future where during, for example, a short period of time, one artist can benefit of the scientific knowledge of our community and vice versa, to create works which are especially designed for Astronomers Without Borders. So what I would call a virtual residency program.
Oh, it's brilliant, and you sprung this idea on me live on the program, and I'm very excited about the idea too, and we need to talk about that definitely. You know, as an amateur astronomer for the last 40-something years, I recall that we had astro art exhibitions and even contests in the 1970s, here in Los Angeles, the Los Angeles Astronomical Society these were not of the type of the professional artists that you're showing here. They were more tending to be of the type more common then, which was showing an idea of what things would look like if we got to these planets in different places. But that has always been a part of amateur astronomy as well. It's not really brought out, so it's a terrific idea.
Thank you. Well,
I look forward to that, and we'll be talking about that one soon, and much
definitely.
more to talk about in the near future. So thanks for everything you do, Danielle. It's been a real, I think, a great contribution to Astronomers Without Borders, but I have heard from others, including IAAA, it's a very well-established and important organization, that they find the program you've done on AWB to be very important as well.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much. Well, we're going to go a little bit behind the scenes here, a little different than we usually do. And we're going to cause our producer, Liam Kennedy, who hangs out in the background most of the time, and we're going to try and get him out here in front to talk about one of his projects that we've talked about before, because it's really very cool. And I'm hoping that this will be part of an AWP program at some time as well. ISS above is something that tells you when the International Space Station happens to be in your sky. I'll let Liam talk about that. But also you're going to show us what you can see from the International Space Station, not requiring an ISS above, but it'll certainly help you in some ways. So welcome to the foreground, Liam. And I'm not hearing you here. So Liam has been dealing with a number of technical problems that we've been having in setting up, which is why we're a little late getting started. So Liam, give you a minute, see if you can get some sound there. I know he had the sound go out coming into him and had to sign on another computer even to be able to monitor what we're doing. No, I don't. I think maybe you can hear us, but we can't hear you. Okay.
I'm unmuting myself here.
There we are. Okay.
All right.
I know, Liam, there were always some technical problems doing these things, but I knew you'd solve it sooner or later because you always do. It's actually pretty amazing.
Yeah, I'm now doing a little bit of a dual role here. I have Google Hangouts running on 2 of my computers, controlling it from one, and speaking through another. So it's. But anyway, thanks very much, Mike, for letting me share a little bit about ISS above. Obviously, I don't come on here to do that, but it is something that obviously I really enjoy talking about anyway. But yeah, the ISS above is that little device that it's built using a very small computer called a Raspberry Pi, and I've shipped about 320 of them worldwide. So, and hopefully there'll be lots more being shipped soon as well with other things that I've got going on. But this is one of the displays that actually comes out when you connect a monitor up to this little device it's sort of like not very much bigger than a credit card size type of device. And this one even shows the orbit, as you can see. Oh, there we go. Let me switch back to Mike. Mike is actually showing the ISS above that he got.
Yes, that's mine. So to give you an idea of the size, when you mentioned it,
there we go.
I'd just pick it up and show it.
And when the space station comes over, the LEDs light up on that to let you know that the space station is coming right over you at that time. Now
there are websites that will tell you this as well, but there's a difference here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No. So the difference is really it comes down to when you have a visual reminder. It's something. It actually gives you more of a connection, I would say, to what is really happening on the space station, what's really happening above you. Many people are aware that you can see the space station at times. It's actually visible to the naked eye, and you know, I've always had those apps that tell you when that's going to happen. But one of the things they miss is the fact how frequently it just comes right over your head during the day. And this little device, you know, is a beacon for anyone who is within sight of that device. So this is great for, you know, a public science, a scientific situation, or an observatory, you know, anywhere like that. And you know, it really does just push that point home. Now,
well, it doesn't require you to be on the computer. It can be any place. And the fact that it shows you when the ISS is above you, even during the daytime, which is not what the other apps do, because they're about seeing it. But there are additional aspects to knowing when it's above you as well that you can take advantage of. So it's a separate device. This is why I like it so much and have been bugging you to plan together an AWB program that can be based on seeing the ISS from different parts of the world as it goes, you know, around its orbit. It'd be educational. It'll connect schools together, perhaps with classroom projects. But you're busy and producing our Hangout, so sooner or later we'll get this happening.
Yeah, I'll definitely look to try and do that. Now, unfortunately, I can't show you the really coolest thing of the ISS above now, which is when it displays the video that's live broadcast from the space station, and that's because the ISS at the moment is actually in darkness. So it's passed over to a side of the Earth where it's in darkness, and the cameras don't broadcast at that time. But otherwise, you know, the device is clever enough to figure out, the ISS is in sunlight right now, and then it switches on the video so that you can actually see the live views from the space station. And it's obviously very cool when you actually end up, when it's coming over your place in the daytime, obviously you get to see video of what the space station sees of you. So it's all about making that connection, you know, the connection between people on the Earth and manned space flight.
Well, you were showing us the live video from the ISS while we were in the virtual green room here working out all the technical problems, and it's really extraordinary. But that's available also. You don't have to have the ISS above to be able to see that.
Exactly. You just go to Ustream, and it's one of the NASA feeds, definition Earth viewing experiment. So if you just do a search for that, it's on Ustream or on NASA TV. You'll be able to find it through there. Just search for HDEV and you will get it.
But what's cool about ISS above is when you suddenly see, hey, it's coming over here, you can check it out right away and see whether or not your home or something close by that you want to capture is coming up. So that's pretty neat.
Exactly. Okay. Well, thank you very much for that opportunity, Mike.
Sure. I just think it's great. So I'm glad to do that, Liam. So, well, there's one more big news item, and it's something that we've been talking about a lot on Astronomers Without Borders recently, and that is our Telescopes to Tanzania Indiegogo campaign. Now, this is something that we have been trying to spread the word as much as possible, and thanks to a number of different media journalists and bloggers and partners, the word is getting around pretty well. But we're not highlighting it this month because we're going to have a special hangout next month that's going to highlight this incredible program. Now, we're doing quite well with it. We're coming up on the halfway point. But next week, August 6th, we're going to have a hangout devoted entirely to the topic of using astronomy for the development of STEM education, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, sometimes now referred to as STEAM, S-T-E-A-M, the A for arts, because of that connection with between these technical fields and art itself. And our special guests for that very important Google Hangout will be Ron Garan, seen here taking a selfie, the likes of which very few people have had the chance to do. He is in his spacesuit floating outside the International Space Station, taking a picture as he's orbiting the Earth as a little mini satellite. Ron is a social entrepreneur, no longer with NASA, but he still does an awful lot of things and he has a lot to say about how we can make the world a better place. That's what he devotes his life to. As well as Anousheh Ansari, who is the first woman private space explorer who spent 10 days in the International Space Station, first Iranian in space. She's an Iranian-American here, and also the co-sponsor of the Ansari X Prize for the first private space flight, which was won several years ago. And here below you can see some of the things that really show what this is all about. The Center for Science in East Africa. This is a very important project that was started by Chuck and Sue Reilly here in USA. On the left there you can see Mpanda Mlozo, who will be part of the program as well, coming to us from Tanzania, who is doing some astronomy with students in Tanzania. This program has developed a STEM curriculum based on astronomy, starting with astronomy, which brings all of the different STEM fields into play, really. And one student getting her first look through a telescope there, and on the right is Chuck, showing some computer programs that deal with astronomy to some of the students in one of the schools as well. Well, there's an awful lot to say about this topic of how to get astronomy into the schools in order to be able to bring science to places where they don't have the chance to have laboratories. The teachers often don't even have the opportunity to get science training. They really don't know quite what to do, but with the simple little telescopes, even like the Galileo scope in the center image there is a lot that can be done, and they have the laboratory overhead. So we're going to talk about that also with Kevin Govender, who is the director of the International Astronomical Union's Office of Astronomy for Development, in which they are using astronomy. And this is the professional organization using astronomy for development of the economies of countries that are in the developing world. And this is exactly the topic. And it's really, we are doing this because this is a really critically important way of improving the situation. The Center for Science will have a very large impact with small investment in money, large investment in passion, volunteer work, and so on, in the entire region. So this is really a very important one. For those of you who are interested in learning more about this, there is an Indiegogo campaign. If you go to Indiegogo, INDIEGOGO.com, and search Telescopes to Tanzania, or go to the Astronomers Without Borders page, astronomerswithoutborders.org, and you will see something there that you can click and go to our page and then to the Indiegogo and learn more. Especially, we hope that you will contribute. This is a crowdsourcing campaign. It doesn't take a lot, but it takes a lot of people with small amounts in order to make it possible. So that is August 6th. That is next Wednesday, 9 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. That is 1600 hours. Universal Time, or Greenwich Mean Time. And we hope you will join us then for this really very special hangout with these special guests. You'll be able to ask questions. This will be a roundtable of sorts, so we hope it'll be a wide-ranging discussion that everyone will tune into. So until then, I would like to thank you all for viewing, whether you're seeing this live or watching it in the archives afterwards. This has been the July monthly Hangout for Astronomers Without Borders, and we hope that you will join us. You can join Astronomers Without Borders free if you wish, or support us with a supporting membership. And we hope to see you at the next Hangout in just 6 days from now to learn more about this very important program in this campaign and how you can be a part of it. So thanks very much for joining us. And for this month, we'll sign off until next time.